experience and the leadership qualities women DCPs bring to their roles. It can inspire others to challenge the stereotypes and pursue the careers in law enforcement. So for that now, may I please welcome on stage DCP Suman Nalva, Training and Principal, Police Training School, Special Police Unit for Women and Children. Now, as an additional Deputy Commissioner, she's in charge of the Delhi Police's Special Unit for Women and Children. She has previously served on units focused on anti-corruption and crimes against women. She was earlier working as a Deputy Commissioner of Police in the Special Police Unit for Women and Children. She's a strong advocate of women's rights and has always worked, she's also worked as a subdivisional officer in crime against women and anti-corruption unit. So for many years she has worked on multiple campaigns to promote women's safety. So joining her on stage is Ms. Sucharita Kukreti, Senior Anchor and Editor, Republic Media Network. Over to you, Sucharita.
Thank you so much, Rakshita. And I'm so delighted to hold this session with DCP Nalva because we don't very often get to grill a serving police officer. We're getting to do that today. But on a serious note, I would like all my audiences to know that DCP Nalva is the official face for Delhi Police, and she answers some very tough questions from our fraternity with effortless ease. Ma'am, today the questioning is not going to be about the police force, but about you being there at the center of the whole activity within the police force. So thank you so much for gracing the occasion. DCP Nalva, we just heard Dr. Kiran Bedi, and a lady who's led from the front, a lady who's an officer of repute for the forces. From her time to yours, I would like to know, how has the space for women police officers changed? And I ask that because even now, women constitute less than 12% of the police force. So how do you see that space opening up for women?
I was just talking to ma'am, and I was just telling ma'am, you have spoken about 25 years of my career in police. So I don't believe much has changed. As ma'am has said, for every successful woman, there is a woman, she herself is behind
Absolutely.
it. I totally second that, because it is my experience that because you're a woman, nobody is going to speak up for you. And if you have to be at any particular job, at any particular post, you have to be many times competent than a male colleague to be there, to be recognized. So that's the truth.
Do you think there's still a disparity in the acceptance of a woman police officer vis-a-vis a male police officer within the police force and also with the common people that you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
Again, when we talk about women in police, we have different ranks. At the officer level, of course, we have a legacy with ma'am being there for a number of years and leading us. But at the lower ranks, of course, there is a disparity. I believe that we are not utilizing them as we should. And in the initial years, when they are recruited, when we sideline them into comfortable posts like office or CCTNS or, on the computer, so then we are wasting a lot of resources and we are making them unproductive for future also. So that's a reality which we see. Of course, there are some outliers, some women who despite all that are able to come out, be in the beat, do what they are supposed to, fight for field postings, and they are doing very well. So I keep on meeting them. They are in cybercrime. Some of them are engineers. They have done their MCAs. So they are doing very well, and it's such a pleasure to meet them because they have broken the barriers. They have fought for it. Absolutely. It's not like it was handled on the lap.
Ma'am, how is the police force today tackling this challenge of creating an environment which does not see gender disparity? Do you think the police force is tackling that challenge? Because that is what is going to be opening up the space for more women officers today.
Again, at the officer level, I don't see any challenge because we get a lot of facilities, we get a lot of help. Because when we enter at the officer level, our parents, they are on board, our in-laws, they are on board, many a times even husbands are on board. But at the lower ranks, when the women joined, so that time, the expectations, the patriarchal expectations are still there. So that is very difficult for them to break. So that creates a lot of problem, whether it's, during their age of childbearing and child rearing. So it is a major challenge for them to kind of deal with. So at that level, I don't see much happening because again, policing is a very tough career. 24/7 availability of, of duties. You have to be there when you have to be there. If there is an arrangement of 15th August or 26th January, you have to be there at the, 3 in the morning in the field. When there is an IPL match happening, you are going to be there in the stadium till 12 or 1 a.m. So at that time, many of time you will see them, waiting for a pickup or drop from their husbands or their fathers. So that empowerment from within, that yes, I can do it on my own, that is still to come. So I think training has to do a lot with it. I believe that the training, if it is robust and if it is able to instill on our women in the ranks that they need to be independent, they can be independent, and they are shown the way to be independent, it will of course help, because police department cannot do everything and everything. It is a choice that a person makes that I'm going to enter a police service. It demands some sacrifices. So we have to accept that challenge. We have to accept that reality of policing the city. So then only we need to enter this arena.
And ma'am, as you rightly said that not everything can be done by departments. I think Dr. Bedi also said that very clearly. Gender sensitization is very, very important at family levels as well. Because we know that when women are into police force, they would be wanting field postings, as you said. And there are times that being a woman, do you think that that is not a consideration? Because going out on a field, a lot of times people might feel, and senior police officers might feel, or people within the ranks, that that would hamper work on field, because you have a family, you have kids to take care of, and also women also on the verge of having a family when they're about to have children. Do you think that that comes in a way hampering the growth for a police officer?
When you are into childbearing and child rearing, of course, there is sympathy within the department, and you will be given a posting where you don't have to exert so much as you would in a field posting. But now that we are increasing the percentage of women in police, like in Delhi police itself, in next 3 years, we are planning to have more than 25% of women in police. So then this distinction will have to go. There will not be any other alternative. If there is a resource, if there is a manpower, that has to be utilized. If you are not doing, then you are not a good leader, whether it's at the SHO level, whether it's at the district level. So there will not be any, there will not be any leverage with the administrator to do away with them, that we don't want to utilize them. So they will have to be utilized. So we are not giving any choice.
Ma'am, you are a hero to so many who see you every day working with such passion, with such dedication. I want to ask you, when did you think that you wanted to take up a leadership role in active law enforcement? Because there are so many who would want to toe your line. So they would want to know, when did you think about this? And because you have a degree in mechanical engineering, you have a degree in human resource, and then you thought of coming to active law enforcement.
Again, it's a long time back. So I would say it's a personal choice. So I believe in the choice theory. Whatever I'm doing, it's my choice. I don't believe that I'm being forced into anything.
True.
So, wearing a uniform was something that, that gelled with me at that point of time. On the personal note, I was in my final year when my father died. So we were an all-women household. We are 4 sisters. One expired last year due to cancer. So we have 3 sisters now and my mom. So at that time, way back, when I was trying for a corporate job, I was an engineer, electronic engineer, 90s, it was a boom. But then, lot of difficulties, lot of issues. Most of the manufacturing units were way out there. There was no transportation. Mobiles were not there. So it was very difficult for me to hold a corporate job. And then, then of course the hassles of day-to-day living. When you have MCD person coming, DDA person coming and, demanding something. So it was an issue which we had never dealt with because, when it was always a father who was taking care of all these things. So at that point, I didn't even know the full form of UPSC. So at that time, I decided that I'm gonna, try this. So it was my first attempt and I got into policing and I really loved it. Because I believe wearing uniform not only empowered me, but it empowered my entire family, my sisters. I could give voice to them. I could, give voice to a lot of other women. So it has been a very beautiful journey, though it had its own ups and downs, but I have really loved the whole path.
And as one of the speakers earlier said, that if your work is your passion, it really doesn't seem like a job. So I'm sure it is like that for you, ma'am. We as journalists, ma'am, come across crime against women. We meet a lot of women victims. And I still feel that in rural areas especially, there is still a hesitation in reporting a crime. Do you think that changes when a woman is at the center of affairs?
It definitely changes. It gives a woman, especially a woman victim, a hope that she can talk about herself. She can talk about her feelings. So I believe now that we have, because of the Supreme Court mandate also and because of the administrative thing, that all the crimes against women are now being investigated by women IOs. So I believe it gives a vent to their experiences, which a male would not understand what they are going through. So I believe this really helps.
Okay, ma'am, on a lighter note, we as journalists, often at home, we are told that stop questioning all the time. You're always in the questioning mode. So do you get to hear that at home, that stop being a police officer all the time?
My kids would second that.
That does happen. The job gets so much to you, that, and especially when you're passionate about your work, it does get to you that you're always being a police officer.
It's just that sometimes you are so engrossed in your work. Sometimes there is so much, like during COVID, it was really a traumatic period for all of us. And I was in special branch at that time and we were doing contact tracing. So it was 24/7. We were trying to control, so it was like we were working 24/7. So at that time, it was really a high tension thing where I would, kind of went off at the slightest indiscipline I would see in my kids. So that was again a very tough time. But I believe it goes with everyone.
Now that you spoke of your kids, ma'am, I would like to know how does the family see the police officer at home, and you being keeping very, very busy with your work? That work-life balance is very important in every profession, and yours being even more demanding because it's a 24/7 job. So how do you see that work-life balance? That's I think it's a learning that every woman requires.
As has been said earlier, we don't have social systems in place to take care of our responsibilities. So sometimes we have to rely on our parents. So for me, it was my mother, who was a great pillar of support for me, who raised my children. And I'm very happy that she was able to instill good values in them. So I'm very happy with the way they have grown up. And they are very sensitive. I would say, as Kiran Bedi ma'am said, they are the good boys.
That's lovely to hear. We want more of those good boys. Fake, ma'am, another problem that seems to be plaguing us is of fake news, of propaganda on social media. I think, and Delhi police seems to be facing that on a day-to-day basis. Do you think that is a big challenge for you as a police officer, and how do you tackle that?
For any organization, I would say it's a big challenge. Just day before yesterday, I came across a very gory video, and Delhi police was tagged into it. It was a a very bad video, and I was like really shocked to see that, and I wanted to know where it had happened. So then during investigation, we roped in our cyber crime teams and everything. So we came to know that it's a very old video of 2021 where a girl was molested. So again, for one day, 24 hours, till we were into that phase. So I was like really feeling, you know, a lot of anger, a lot of, you know, lot of emotions looking at that video. So of course it is, it could have flared up and it could have led to anything. So we are constantly monitoring such posts, and I believe we are not doing much on media literacy. Who's posting what? Why that person is posting it? What is the objective of that post? And we need to tell people that if you repost, what is your responsibility in all that? So that has to be educated, that has to be thrown to people, that you will be responsible if you are doing reposting or doing whatever.
Ma'am, as a woman police officer, though I would want to see a police officer as a police officer irrespective of their gender, but do you think that as a woman police officer, there are greater challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis as compared to your male counterparts? Would you say that? Because on a day-to-day basis, even in respect to the people who come to you, who meet you, and also the entire police fraternity?
At our rank, I don't think we face that, but at the junior rank, of course. And when we initially enter, that time we have to become authoritarian for people to listen to us, whether it's our inspectors or sub-inspectors, so that they don't take us for granted. Yes. So there is a tendency, you know, they're testing waters, how much I can take leverage. Right. So at that time, if you are able to kind of determine your authority, that, you know, this is what my authority is and you can't, you know, cross that. So then that boundary is established. So if you don't do that, then of course it's a bad, bad career move.
Ma'am, DCP Nalva, from what I hear from our fraternity, is an officer who's always ready with an answer. And I think she's led from the front even in this session, ready with an answer and with a smile. Thank you so much, DCP Nalva, for this enlightening session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.